Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to take you along in my kitchen as I do some peaceful summer cooking for my Homestead family this week. It has been so beautiful at the homestead. Here in the Pacific Northwest, summer is in bloom and I can't get enough of it, to be honest with you. Fresh herbs, the veggies that are starting to pop up in the garden, and one of my favorite parts is the extended daylight, although it does mean that the kids are getting to bed much later than we would like them to most nights. But I think to myself of all the times in winter when it is dark at 4 p.m. and how I wish we could go outside and play, but it's rainy and dark. And so when it's 9 p.m. and the kids are still playing outside, I just try to embrace it. If you remember from my last video, I picked these fresh peonies and other flower bouquets from our garden. I threw in some mint and catnip herbs, whatever wild herbs we have in our garden, which we have so many right now. And then my good friend gave me these handmade flags, and I think that they are so sweet for 4th of July. We got back from our trip, which I talked about in the last video. I was just so excited to get my grain mill back out and make some homemade food. Going a week without making homemade bread and all of my food from scratch, even though we did cook a lot from scratch there, it's just not the same. And there's nothing that makes you appreciate home more than leaving it and getting to come back. This is an example of a meal that I would not cook when I am out and about because it requires so many ingredients. I am making a fried chicken here and it's gonna become orange chicken. So first I'm cutting up the chicken breast into cubes, dipping them in a mixture with egg. We came home to a bowl full of farm fresh eggs from both our chickens and a farmer down the street. One of the first things I did was get some raw milk, stock the fridge back up, and I just can't wait to get back in the swing of things again. For this orange chicken recipe, I'm dipping the chicken in the egg mixture first and then a flour mixture with freshly milled grain, and I usually add Parmesan cheese. This is really good when you add Parmesan cheese to it, but I didn't do it this time because I was just a little bit rushed, so I didn't want to grate the cheese. But you fry the chicken on the skillet with some avocado oil on medium-high. Cook the chicken, it cooks pretty fast, and then you make the sauce. I am making mine in a bowl first just so that when I go to pour it in, it's all ready to go. Now you can also put the broccoli with the chicken and sauce mixture and let it cook on the skillet, but I'm actually steaming it first because I have some kids that just like it separately, and this is one of our favorite meals. This is on the Duvall Homestead blog, and I will link it in the description below if you would like to print it out and save it for another time. I want to take a quick break and show this quick video of us getting a quarter cow. We have not been able to get a bulk order of meat in a really long time. We used to, and then it just stopped. But this is the farm that we just got our quarter cow from. We got a little tour, which we're so lucky that we got to do that. And we should be picking that meat up in the next week or so. And I'm really, really excited to stock our freezer up with it and take you along and show you some recipes that we make with the beef as well. Creating a home that is both beautiful and enjoyable is something that is really important to me, and I know it is important to many of you as well. That is why we have been loyal customers of Quince for many years now. Quince makes organic bedding, but they also make a bunch of other things that are made with certified organic or Oekotech Standard 100 certified materials. This means that they are free of toxins, pesticides, and in most cases grown organically. We have tried many of Quince's bedding materials such as linen, cotton, bamboo, and we have loved all of them. I have actually made a few different review videos on this channel that you may have seen, specializing in certain types of their products like their down comforter or different sheet sets. There hasn't been a sheet set that we have not really enjoyed and has not withstood the test of wear and tear and time. In our daughter's room, because we are having a third child this year, we are going to be moving our oldest to a bunk bed, which means we had to get a new set of sheets for the bottom bunk. I did not hesitate to surf Quince's website and create a curated collection of sheets that would fit this mattress. I love the neutral tones. I love how they are relaxing and pleasant when you walk in the room, and there's nothing that is distracting, too vibrant, or something that you will get tired of quickly. In this bedding haul, I got an organic waterproof mattress protector that is completely waterproof, as well as the blue and white cotton sheets, a down comforter and a comforter cover, and a toddler quilt to go on top of the comforter because I was a little bit worried about it being white and risking the kids messing that up too quickly. So having the quilt on the top is going to help keep it nice and clean. If you are looking to refresh your bedding for the summer season, take a look at Quince's relaxing and beautiful patterns at my link below. Thank you to Quince for sponsoring this video. Tonight I am making an easy roasted chicken. One of my staples all year long is roasted chicken. In the summertime though, I love to make it with fresh herbs. So I'm gonna go out to the garden and get some thyme and sage and oregano. I'm so excited to say that my garden is doing really well. This year I planted things a lot earlier than normal, which does come with some risk because it was technically before the first frost date, but it was right after a big snowstorm. And here where we live, we usually get 1 or 2 snowstorms per winter. So when the snowstorms end, I kind of think to myself, that was probably the last one. And I take my best guess because usually there's only a couple snowstorms and we don't get like a third one. So when we had our snowstorm pass, I jumped on all the gardening, even though technically I wasn't supposed to. And most of the plants I had totally made it through the colder days. Even if they were near frosting, they all made it through just fine. And now that we have heat, they are doing much better. They're probably about a month ahead of where my plants usually are. So I count that as a win, especially because we don't have a ton of garden space. We have about a 1/4 acre. And I'm no expert, but I have been gardening for several years, so I know it works for us. And if I can have fresh herbs anytime I need them and fresh flowers that bloom kind of weekly, then I am a happy camper in the garden. That's all I really want. So for the bed of this roasted chicken, I have sweet potato, carrots, onion, and garlic with some homemade bone broth. I put the chicken in there, stuff it with lemon and the herbs I just picked, drizzle it with olive oil and seasonings, and bake it for 1.5 hours at about 350 degrees. In addition to our own garden producing some food for us, we also do a CSA pickup, which is a community supported agriculture where we support our local farmers and they get together and they grow different things and we get whatever they grow. This goes from about late May to September. And the produce that we get is different every week. So right now we're getting radishes and a lot of lettuce. So I'm making a nice farm fresh salad here. The nut mixture I'm sprinkling on top is from our trip that we took last week, and I had bought this for our Airbnb and it was so good that I actually packed it to take home. With the roasted chicken, I like to do some cubed toasted bread. So I just cut up some bread and I have 2 loaves here. I'm doing the boule and the sandwich loaf, which will work great for this. And I drizzle them with olive oil and add a bunch of salt and then roast them in the oven, and they become crispy, kind of like a large crouton. And you can either put it in the bed with the chicken or you can put it on your plate and then drizzle it with the chicken juice or just eat them plain. After the chicken is done and we are done eating, I'm taking off all the extra meat because I plan on using leftover chicken meat in another recipe either tomorrow or the next day. And then the bones and anything left over from the bowl, like potatoes or onions, all go in the Instant Pot to make bone broth. This is just one of the ways I try to create a fully functioning homestead, if you will, here at our house. Even though we don't live on a farm, I like the idea of cooking from scratch, growing your own food, and then repurposing your food in whatever way you can. Doing this on just a small piece of property is incredibly fulfilling. You don't need to be doing it on a large scale to feel like a farmer or a homesteader. There's no better time than summer to embrace the homesteading mentality and get yourself outside to reap the benefits of what nature has to offer, which is fresh food. One of my favorite ways to make French toast is with the sourdough sandwich bread. I have 2 recipes for this on my blog. One is with regular all-purpose flour and one is with einkorn flour. But this recipe that I'm making today is with 50% freshly milled whole grain. The sandwich bread has butter in it, which a regular boule does not. So if you have sandwich bread, it's got that nice spongy, more relaxed feel to it and less dry. And it's perfect for things like French toast. It absorbs the egg really well. I also add maple syrup and some cinnamon and spices to make a nice hearty breakfast. With the whole grain, I'm noticing that it is a lot more hearty. So when you eat a slice of toast that is made with whole grain, it's got such a higher nutrient, vitamin, and mineral complex to it that you feel like you've had more of a meal as opposed to just a piece of bread. So when my kids eat this French toast, they don't even really need eggs to go with it, although I still make eggs, partly for myself because I'm eating a lot of protein since I'm pregnant. But I notice that they eat less of the bread because it's so much more filling. which is a good thing because then you don't have to make quite as much. If you're used to cooking with regular all-purpose flour, you might find that you're eating more of the bread because it just doesn't have as much in it. These are all the things you learn when you try new things, like cooking with freshly milled grain. Anytime you take things back to your original form, like how our ancestors used to do it, how God intended it, natural food in its most natural state, it's usually the best for you. Anytime we alter our food or process it or make it cheaper or faster, easier, most of the time when you do anything like that, you are diminishing its quality at least a little bit. And don't get me wrong, sometimes that's okay. I'm not saying it's never okay, because sometimes it's even necessary just to get to our homes. But anything you can do, whether it's buying from a local farmer or growing it yourself, to preserve the purity of whole food is just so much better, in my opinion at least. I am finding myself making it out to the garden every day, if not twice a day, to grab fresh chives or herbs, whatever is blooming back there, and eating it. And I'm doing a much better job than I have in prior years, where I spend all this time planting things and then I just forget to go get them, or I think they're gonna last all summer but then they don't and I missed it. I don't know. These are just the things that you learn over the years of gardening and homesteading. And for whatever reason, this year it's all going much better than I had expected. For lunch today, I'm making a sourdough pizza with just sourdough starter. I love making a nice thick pizza crust. I've done it with whole grain, with einkorn, with regular all-purpose flour, any type of pizza crust sourdough. But I've seen a few sourdough influencers on the internet, because I like to watch sourdough videos a lot, making pizza with just sourdough starter. And they basically heat up the skillet, pour the starter in, and then add the toppings. So I thought I'd give it a try, especially because on this day it was just me and my 2 kids. I didn't have to make lunch for my husband, which is unusual. So I thought I would just give this a try and see how we like it. I also had fresh local mozzarella cheese, which I don't usually buy mozzarella cheese, but this was part of our CSA pickup from a local dairy. So I'm gonna say that it was really good. I really liked the toppings, the tomato sauce, the cheese. I mean, you can't go wrong. Pizza is pizza. I'm not gonna be picky about pizza because it's one of my favorite foods, hands down. But the crust was very, very thin. And because it didn't have anything else in it other than starter, for that reason, it was not as filling. And that's what I was talking about earlier. If we had used whole grain, we probably would have barely made it through this pizza because we would have been so full. But we definitely ate through this very fast because there was just not much to the crust, which is fine. If you like a really thin, crispy, cracker-like crust, this is a good way to go. It wasn't my favorite. I will probably go back to making the full pizza crust from now on, but it is a nice option, especially in a pinch, or if you have just a ton of extra sourdough starter and you want to use it up. Today was a little bit cooler weather-wise outside, and I was just craving a little bit of a soup. I got some fresh herbs from the garden, and I started to roast 2 potatoes in the oven because I'm gonna be making homemade gnocchi with those potatoes. I'm realizing that we are getting low on ice cream, and for whatever reason, our family is really into ice cream right now. We go through these phases where everyone wants cookies every single night, or everyone wants ice cream every single night. And if they're gonna be eating it that much, I'm super happy to make it for them homemade. That way I can control the ingredients. I make it with goat's milk too, so that they get another protein profile because it's a different kind of protein for goat's milk. And I'm just doing vanilla. This recipe is also on the Duvall Homestead blog. You can search Duvall Homestead vanilla ice cream and find it pretty fast that way. So while the ice cream is going, the potatoes are now done. I'm gonna peel them. This soup takes about an hour to make because of the roasting of the potatoes, and then the ice cream takes about an hour as well to churn it in the ice cream maker. And so after that time had passed, my kids were starting to get up from their rest time and nap time. So they came downstairs and naturally they heard the ice cream maker and wanted some right away. And it was really hard to take that away, especially because we hadn't had dinner yet, so they were ready to go and hungry. But they managed just fine. To the chicken soup, I'm adding peas and some fresh cream. For the gnocchi, I have my potatoes, and then I'm doing some freshly milled grain. I don't have the recipe posted on the blog yet, but the freshly milled whole grain and gnocchi recipe is 2 large Yukon Gold potatoes or russet, 3/4 cup hard red or white wheat berries, which is a little over 1 cup of freshly milled flour, 1 teaspoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon garlic powder, 1/4 cup finely grated Parmesan cheese, 1 egg, and then freshly chopped herbs, optional for topping at the end. Combine all of that with a hand mixer or your hands, roll it into about a 1-inch thick log, and then cut it into chunks. You can also press it with a fork if you want that perfectly shaped gnocchi. Lastly, the ice cream finally finished, everyone finally ate, and everyone finally got to enjoy their homemade vanilla ice cream. With the leftovers for this homemade gnocchi, I put them in a storage container to put in my postpartum freezer because I am now working on freezer meals for after I give birth. And you will see a lot more of that in the next couple of videos. Thank you so much for joining. If you're brand new, please hit that subscribe button. I would love if you would join every week for farm to table recipes and homemade natural living. Don't forget to check out Quint's Organic Bedding and use my link below to see what they have for summer patterns. Thanks so much for stopping by the Duvall Homestead.